You are now in the mix with alldayplay.fm. Who am I? I'm DJ Malachi. You should know me. What you guys are doing here, it's, I love that it inspires me. It keeps me kind of motivated as, as an older DJ. The pandemic hit, being able to DJ from the house and, on platforms like Twitch and whatnot, it opened your mind to, a lot of aspects of DJing. Like I said, I can roll out of bed and play whatever the hell I want, and people are gonna vibe to it. You're gonna find your tribe, and it's a great time. Like it's fun to see the youth doing their thing, the younger DJs. I've always been like the older guy, the sage, the uncle. I love to see the youth and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I never wanted to be the old sage, the old guy that shitted on younger DJs. I hate to say it, a lot of my comrades are kind of like that. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna be me. A lot of times I don't get to play house music. A lot of times I don't get to play like new wave. So I'm like, hey, I feel like playing a new wave set today. I feel like playing a house set today. Let me do whatever kind of set today. And then that, I was like, I ain't got nothing else to do. We're stuck at the house. So why not, let's have fun with it. And like I said, you're gonna find your tribe on, on these different kind of platforms, or people that are gonna follow you and enjoy what you do. And yeah, so no, take full advantage of it. Like, why not? When I started DJing, we would play like Miami Sound Machine and then play Too Short at the same party, and everybody dug everything in between from A to Z. You had to take care of the old school folks, you had to take care of the younger folks, and no boundaries. If I could play some salsa, if I can play whatever, like if I can get goofy, because my folks kind of grew up in the 80s. Like I said, we kind of gravitated toward what was on MTV, soul beat as well, but MTV. So we would play rock, we knew new wave, and we gravitated towards that, as well as, what was happening, black music wise. So, well, I would say the culture changed because there was only a handful of clubs that you can play in Oakland. Like you can name them on one hand. And we would go to DJ across the bay in San Francisco, and that's what you did. But then at some point, I noticed, I'm like, wait, the culture's shifting to Oakland now. And DJs who DJ'd in San Francisco who would never come to Oakland, I noticed started showing up in Oakland. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, so it's changed to that point. So yeah, the culture's still here. Like they're trying to do things in San Francisco, but come on. The flavors here always will be here, as far as I'm concerned. There's only a handful of places you can play, like, Mingles, Ivy's, Jeffrey's, maybe a few little like hood spots, but that was cool because that's how you learn to kind of cut your teeth. Growing up in Oakland, house parties, that's where I learned to DJ. And I'm talking house parties where, all around Oakland, West Oakland, East Oakland, wherever, where you didn't know when you showed up your equipment, you might get robbed. The party might get shot up. You would DJ in the back room, even though the party's in the front room. So you couldn't see the people dancing, or, you could kind of hear them, but you wouldn't necessarily be in that room where they were dancing. So you kind of had to figure things out. And, I cut my teeth. That's how I learned how to DJ. That's what got me to the dance, and keeps me in the dance, I would like to think. So it was more defined by the culture and the people that were here. Obviously a lot more folks of color back then as it is now. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. So I played drums. Elementary school, I played in the drum corps, which I loved because I love music. Junior high school, captain of the drum corps. In the concert band with DJ Fuse, oddly enough, Digital Underground. He played tuba, I was percussionist. But there was no way Mama and Papa P were gonna let me bring a drum set in the house. But I figured out upstairs we had one of these turntables. And then I kind of put two and two together. I'm like, wait. I went to Radio Shack and got a mixer. I went to the pawn shop and got another turntable. And basically from playing drums, I started DJing. And it was a natural transition. It made, I kind of know music theory and whatnot, and I think that helps me a lot and has helped me a lot over the years because, I could break down, you know, music. It's made me a better DJ and whatnot. There was no way they were gonna let me make all that noise in the house and bring a drum set in. So, you know, I kind of made do what we had. So I don't know if I have a favorite set time. Just throw me to the wolves and I'm gonna do okay. It's always an argument, like I see, especially on social media. People are like, oh, well, the opening DJ should play here from here, and they shouldn't play this, that. Whatever, throw me in where I'm gonna play. I don't care. Play all the hits before I come on. I don't care. If you can't play a set after someone, or no. I see this, you know, I see this conversation had, like I said, on social media. Play what you're gonna do you, and I'm gonna come after you, and I'm gonna be fine. Because you're not gonna play the records I play how I play them. My transitions may be different. The way I bring them in may be different. The way I kind of tell the story and weave the whole thing together, it's gonna be different from the next DJ. So a lot of times maybe you can overthink things, and no, you know, sometimes you have to kind of separate yourself. Like I said, going back to just remind, you know, the pandemic thing, just sometimes you know, we as DJs, we can get in ruts at times where you're like, man, I feel like and there's times where I feel like, oh man, I've been playing the same set, or I've been, you know, it's like, no, let me break out of that. And shouts out to my guy, DJ Technique. A lot of times we'll be out and he'll be with me, he'll be hanging with me, or he'll be DJing with me. And I'll point to a record in Serato and I'll be like, hey, what do you think if I play this next? And if he says no, that means I'm playing it. Because I don't care, I'll clear the floor. I don't give a shit. I'll get you back on the floor, it's nothing. So, and most of the times it works out. Sometimes it's like kind of half and half, but whatever. Nah, let me do something different. Let me try something different. Because like I said, it's nothing to get a crowd back. That's, you know, you should be able to do that from the gate, or, you know, at least learn that, you know, you've learned it at some point. So I love playing remixes and originals. A lot of this set today is going to be remixes and flips, and I appreciate a new take. I'm kind of particular about the ones that I play, because I have that discerning ear, and I'm like, because, you know, a lot of times I'll hear some, or I'll hear folks doing blends, and I'm like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me at points. But I'm open to things. Like I said, I've never wanted to shit on younger music or shit on younger DJs. No, if, you know, bring it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, there are times, sometimes I'll play something where I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but whatever. Give it a shot. If it does, it doesn't. And it's funny because, maybe on a different tangent, I'll go out and hear somebody play something and I'm like, man, when I play it, it didn't get this good of a reaction, so maybe I need to revisit that whole thing. That's why I love going out and hearing younger DJs play, and or just DJs in general, and just being around, you know, folks, and kind of seeing how they vibe to music and what have you. And it's fun to, you know, it's fun to experience. But no, remix, flips, originals, I like it all, honestly. Probably older generational folks will probably like, you know, they stick to the original versions. But like I said, I'm very like, if I do play, like, especially for an older generation, if I do play a remix or a redrum or a edit or flip, it's tasteful. It's not gonna be something where you're gonna be like, you know, no, it'll be smooth. Trust me. Like I said, I think I have that discerning ear. I've been doing this long enough, so yeah, hopefully. Well, I'm open to whatever, especially like, you know, feeding off on someone else's energy. Like, that's, how fun is that? Like, and, you know, they'll maybe open me up to something. I'm like, oh, okay, you're going there? Then, yeah, we're gonna go here. And like, you know, and yeah, it's fun. Like, it's, yeah, and I'm more than open to that at times, you know. I think we all inspired each other because such a rich DJ culture in the Bay Area. Like, You know, when we went to San Francisco, we would see the pirate DJs, or we would go to, even previous to them, we would go to Kezar, and they would have these whole DJ battle things, and just all these different crews. But then you had the house party kind of circuit in Oakland, where, you know, you'd go to a house party and you see another DJ or what have you. And I think we all inspired each other. Like, it was such a rich culture. It was so many, you know, it's so many people to kind of sponge off of and learn from and what have you. And that's, like I said, that's part of what's made me the DJ I am today. Like, I love, so like I said, I'm down to, you know, oh, so-and-so's playing, let me go hear them play, or, you know, and then being able to, you know, luckily enough, I've been able to travel and see other DJs in different cities, and, you know, what their regions, what works in their regions and what have you, and, you know, and try to bring a little bit of that back here, and part of my fabric as well. So, you know, something I play, there's one particular song I play like it came out yesterday, Candy Rain, Soul For Real. I play that like damn near every set, like, you know, usually kind of beginning of the night, or it depends, because, you know, depending on the crowd, but I play it like it came out yesterday, and will continue to. So if you ever hear me play it, you kind of look at me and kind of give me a little nod. I'm like, yeah, you know, this is my song. It's just a feel-good song. I love, you know, feel-good music is, you know, and hopefully the set today, there's a bunch of feel-good music in there, you know, you nod your head to and have fun and put a smile on your face, and, you know, playing slow songs at the end of the night. It's a twofold thing: to get people out of the club, because, you know, the workers, you know, they got to wrap up things and they want to get home too. And then it just kind of mellows everybody out. To the newer generation, I'm like, fellas, ladies, we're trying to help you out at the end of the night. We're going to play some slow songs. And everybody usually is cool with it. Every once in a while, you'll get like a curmudgeon, and they're like, whoa, and like, no. Now, trust me, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to hook you up. Because in my day, we would play slow songs throughout the night. And you would have that person that you were kind of like, yeah, I want to slow down for her. But, you know, slow jams, I mean, there are some particular songs in general, but I might even play one today, actually. I ain't gonna say what it is, but, you know, that's why you gotta stay tuned. It's a whole community. Like, I'm not making any money off it. And honestly, I don't care. That's not my motivation for doing it. It's all these new people that have come into my life who check up on me, text me when I'm not on Twitch, like, hey, like honestly, I'm supposed to be DJing now on Twitch. And I'm sure I've gotten a couple texts like, hey, where you at? Where, you know, and they expect me there on Thursday mornings, Thursday afternoons to be playing music. That whole sense of community that just kind of has loved on me. I've dealt with, some kind of hardships over the last couple years, and man, they've looked out for me, and like, a lot of those folks are family to me. I mean, it gets a little emotional for me, but they're truly family. So I need to check up on them. They could check up on me, you know, watch me on Twitch, and I can check up on them, and, you know, in the chat, I'll ask them questions like, hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on with blah, 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 blah. Because I know, you know, what they're going through and what we're all going through and still going through, especially these days. You know, it's been a crazy couple of weeks here and crazy couple of months. But yeah, no, it's that sense of family, that sense of, you know, community. Like, you can't put a price on something like that. It's beautiful. Like, you know, and I'm truly grateful and blessed, you know, to have those folks in my life, and continually to have those folks in my life. And looking forward to our relationships building and continuing to flourish. So yeah, it's fun. You know, like last week I went down this whole rabbit hole. So usually on Thursdays I play jazz and kind of like newer soul stuff, but we went down this whole rabbit hole of like Quiet Storm music. For me, because I kind of grew up, we had a Quiet Storm station here. We don't anymore. And around the country, we don't have Quiet Storm stations. And I was explaining to my chat, my audience, that I would make these Quiet Storm tapes. And I have volumes, and I have like maybe 25 volumes of these cassette tapes that I would sit and I would meticulously make, and then I would write down what the song was. And here's a crazy story. So one of the songs I played last week, a couple days later, one of my really good friends from LA texted me, and she's a hip hop head, and she was like, "Hey, you should incorporate this Gang Starr song, if you haven't lately, into your set." And it was kind of a predictable song. I'm like, okay, you know my steez. I'm like, all right, cool. But then she says, she sent me another track on Spotify, which was like this random 1988 Quiet Storm kind of staple. Well, not even necessarily a staple, but it was somewhat of a hit. And I immediately had to call her. I'm like, you're shitting me, like, really? And she doesn't watch me on Twitch. She's not a social media person at all. She texted this song that I went down a whole rabbit hole to play 2 days later. And I'm like, if that isn't God speaking to me, I'm like, I mean, it messed me up the next couple nights because I couldn't go to sleep, because it just was like, how and why? Like, it was unexplainable to me. Like, I can't even it's hard even putting into words, and, you know, even thinking about it now, like, how did you know, or how did, you know, this random ass song, which was on one of those cassette tapes, and I sent her a picture of the cassette tape, which, like I said, I wrote out the song titles and was very meticulous about it. Like, you know, back in the day, like, if I got a young lady back to the house, I'm slapping on one of them tapes. I'm setting the mood. I'm setting the vibe. So, and it was one of those tapes, and that song was on there. Like I said, she had no idea because she doesn't watch me on Twitch. But the fact that she sent that song, I'm like, man, if that's not God speaking, or just, yeah, I was blown away. I don't know if I play all perfect songs, but I gravitate to soulful music. That's, you know, born and raised here in Oakland. I'm Mexican, by the way, if you know, people are, you know, curious. Mom and dad grew up in West Oakland. They grew up at a time, and especially my dad, when there was like a chitlin circuit in West Oakland. So he listened to black music growing up. And that was what I grew up listening to. Whenever we went in the car, or would hop in the car, that's what we listened to. We listened to black music. So I had that in my head, like, constantly, which made me, you know, appreciate, you know, maybe become a drummer, now a DJ, and yeah, it's anything soulful, and it could be any kind of music. If it grabs me or it hits me right, you know, where I'm like, okay, oh, this is funky, this is soulful, I can mess with this, then that's what I gravitate towards, and that's what I love, you know. It's a little bit, so I told you guys, Twitch 110. So basically it was a set kind of based around 110 BPMs. But I think it's going to be a little bit slower, so maybe Twitch 105. But there's a whole crate in here called Twitch 110. That's kind of like, it's around that 110 BPM kind of set. But it's a little bit of everything, you know. Hopefully, it you know, we're gonna deviate and then kind of dip in and out. But it's all going to make sense though, because that's what I do, and that's what I kind of think I do well. Weave, tell a story, and you know, and keep it fun, and like I said, put a smile on your face, and, you know, distract you for a few minutes. What's up, good people? This is DJ Malachi, Oakland, California's own, and you are vibing out with ADP.FM.